The Great One Jaguar is officially here in the Hunter Call to Wild, and hunters across Ituzaingó, Peru are searching for one of 7 incredible fabled fur variations. Since release, we've seen all kinds of grinding methods emerge. Some players are using feeders, others are spawn trapping, some are running every river and every lake on the entire map. I've tested all of them, and after hours of Jaguar harvest, I believe I found the most efficient way to grind the Great One Jaguar. Not just feeders, not just spawn trapping, not running every lake on the map, a method that combines all 3. The goal is simple. Use feeders to help identify and funnel jaguars into your grind. Use spawn trapping to influence where they respawn. Use zone swapping to increase the number of male jaguars available to harvest, and gradually concentrate as many male jaguars as possible into a smaller section of the map. The result is less running, less searching, and more jaguars harvested per hour. I call it the feeder funnel method. Let's dive in. Before we get into the strategy, let's quickly cover what we're hunting here. Jaguars are predator species, meaning they can reach a difficulty level 9 legendary. Those level 9s are your best chance at finding a diamond. Male jaguars can spawn anywhere from a level 5 medium all the way up to a level 9 legendary, with an estimated max weight range of 100 to 120 kilograms. For rares, jaguars can spawn as piebald, leucistic, and pseudomelanistic with a 1 in 1,000 chance, while albino appears to be their only very rare fur variation at a 1 in 2,000. Unlike herd animals though, jaguars are completely solitary. Think black bears. That means when you harvest one, its zone often disappears and the respawn can show up somewhere entirely different across their home range. At first, that sounds like a nightmare, but once you understand how jaguar populations move, you can actually use this to your advantage. One question that I see constantly floating across the community is, should you herd manage jaguars? Personally, I don't think so. Unlike red deer, black bears, or even white-tailed deer, jaguars are essentially pre-herd managed already. Male jaguars only range from a level 5 to a level 9, which doesn't leave much room for traditional herd management strategies. Instead, I focus entirely on harvest efficiency. More males harvested means more respawns. More respawns mean more chances at a great one. For jaguars, efficiency beats management every time, and you're still going to spawn a max level animal 1 in every 20 harvests. Now here's where things start getting interesting. Through testing done by myself and fellow The Hunter Call to Wild partner creator, I Buy Premiums, and many other out there in the community, we believe jaguars may actually be divided into 3 major home ranges. A northern range, a central range, and a southern range. Now before anyone jumps into the comments, this is still a theory, but if it's correct, it completely changes how we should approach this grind. Because instead of trying to influence jaguars across the entire reserve, we only need to influence a much smaller section of a single home range, and that's where the jaguar funnel method begins. The goal of this strategy isn't to hunt every jaguar. The goal is to hunt the most efficient amount of male jaguars. Specifically, we're trying to concentrate as many male jaguars as possible into the southern home range, where we can hunt them quickly and consistently using my method. The reason why I'm picking the south is because they are a higher population of jaguars there compared to the north. To do that, we're going to use 3 tools: spawn trapping, zone swapping, and the feeders. Spawn trapping helps keep respawns within the home range. The one we're using is going to be the southern one. Zone swapping helps replace females in that with males from the exterior zones. And the feeders help identify and funnel jaguars back into the grind area. Together they create a self-feeding system that becomes more efficient the longer you run it. So what I Buy Premiums has found is that there appears to be 3 major jaguar home ranges: the northern section of the map, the central river system, and the southern section of the map. Through testing, the southern home range appears to hold significantly more jaguars than the northern home range. That's important because every additional male jaguar represents another chance at a great one. If you can create a grind area containing 15 male jaguars instead of 7, you're effectively doubling your opportunities every rotation. That's why everything in this strategy revolves around the southern home range. There are roughly 35 to 40 jaguars on every map, though everyone's population is slightly different. One subscriber, Bryson, found that he had 7 jaguars occupying the northern home range, 4 males and 3 females. Even if he successfully swapped every female for a male, he would still only be grinding 7 jaguars total. That's why I believe the southern home range gives players the best opportunity to maximize the number of male jaguars available to harvest. I know Lady Legend is also using the southern portion of the map as her spawn trapping area, and I think she's on the right path. Now let's talk about the first tool that makes all of this possible, spawn trapping. Spawn trapping was popularized by premiums during the famous Black Bear Great One grind on Silver Ridge Peaks, the 4-lake method. The basic idea is simple. If enough population space exists within a concentrated area where there's water sources, respawns often begin cycling back and forth within that area. Instead of hunting an entire reserve, you're encouraging animals to repeatedly return to a smaller section of the map, like the 4 lakes in the upper left corner of the Silver Ridge Peaks map. That's exactly what we're trying to do here with jaguars, not by trapping them into the 4 lakes, but by gradually funneling an entire home range toward its most efficient hunting section. And for me, one of those spawn trapping areas is the southern part of the map. Here's my current tent setup for the southern home range. I have the coastline completely covered because it offers excellent visibility with how many tents are set up there. You will have to run a couple hundred meters here and there to glass as much of the coast as possible during the jaguars' drink times, or use a couple of the outposts that are on that side of the map. Jaguars drink from 2100 to 0. Because they only have a 3-hour drink window, I recommend starting your rotations at 2300, which is closer to the end of their drink time. That gives every jaguar time to reach its zone before you begin hunting. A full rotation typically takes about 15 minutes of real-world time, which means you'll likely reset the clock multiple times during a grinding session. And that's completely normal. Remember, jaguars constantly relocate after you harvest them. You'll be discovering new zones, adjusting routes, and updating rotations throughout the entire grind until you have your population of males set just right on the southern part of the map. That's simply part of hunting a solitary species. The rest of my tents in the south are used to access the lakes during their feed times and sometimes their drink times. I also have a few tents placed in the northern and central home ranges. Those aren't part of the main grind. They're there specifically to locate and harvest male jaguars that can later be used for zone swapping with any females in my trapping method. Now let's talk about what I believe is one of the most powerful parts of this entire strategy, is the zone swapping. Think about jaguar home ranges like a game of musical chairs. There are only so many chairs available for jaguars to sit in within each of the home range. Using Bryson's northern home range as an example, he consistently has 7 jaguars occupying that area. That's 7 available chairs. The problem is that 3 of those chairs are occupied by females, and females can't become great ones. That means only 4 of those 7 jaguars have the potential to eventually respawn as a great one. So naturally the goal becomes simple. What if we could swap those 3 females for 3 males from another home range? Well, that's where zone swapping comes in. Based on testing done by the community, when animals enter the respawn pool, there appears to be a roughly 50% chance they can swap chairs with animals from another home range rather than returning to their same area. If that's true, we can potentially use it to our advantage, and we have been on the jaguar grind. The first step is to make sure all jaguars are currently present in the home range you're trying to build. This is important because you don't want to accidentally swap out one of your existing males. Once you've confirmed all jaguars are present, identify the females that you want to swap to a home range you are not grinding. Shoot one of the females, but do not claim her. Leave her on the ground on the map. Next, travel to one of the other home ranges and begin harvesting a male jaguar there. For me, I travel to the northern home range and find one of the males there. Once you find a male, you shoot him as well and do not claim him either. Leave him on the ground. Then you go to the main menu, which forces both jaguars into the spawn pool simultaneously. This gives you a 50-50 chance of swapping them. Remember, we're not swapping levels, we're not swapping variations, we're swapping genders. Every female replaced by a male increases the number of potential Great One candidates inside the grind in the southern home range where this strategy works. When you reload the map, both of those animals will enter the respawn pool at the same time. This gives the swap an opportunity to occur. Now, return to the home range you're building and begin grinding as normal, and repeat the process every time you find a female until all you have left is males eventually. Will the swap happen every time? No, because swapping appears to be chance-based. You may need to repeat the process multiple times, but if you're successful, you've increased the number of male jaguars available to harvest. More harvests means more chance at spawning a Great One Jaguar. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, J-Biz, you're spawn trapping jaguars in the southern home range, but where do the feeders even come in? Well, this is where things get really interesting. Feeders are what turns this from a spawn trap into a funnel. Spawn trapping helps keep jaguars inside the home range, feeders help pull them toward the specific lake at a specific spot, no spooking, controlled sight lines, and hunting them during daylight. Jaguars are attracted to carcass feeders, and you can place up to 8 feeders on a map. The southern home range contains 9 lakes, but 2 of those lakes are essentially side by side. This allows you to strategically place feeders around nearly every lake you're grinding. The theory is simple. Some of those lakes can be difficult to hunt at night due to poor visibility and dense vegetation. I still hunt them during their drink time here and there, but I also use feeders to help funnel jaguars back towards those locations. Several community members, including iBuy Premiums, believe some respawns may take longer to return because they become delayed or stuck in dense vegetation while moving back towards their zones. By giving jaguars an additional attraction point, you're potentially guiding them back into the grind area. I place a tent roughly 220 to 250 meters away from each feeder, making them easy to check without spooking animals. Feeders aren't perfect. They only attract one jaguar at a time, and they also can attract pumas and black caiman. But despite those drawbacks, I've found them to be a valuable tool for keeping the grind moving efficiently. Once I've swapped out some females and built up a healthy male population, it's time to run some rotations. A typical rotation looks like this for me. I set the time to 2300, I run the coastline first, I then check all the lakes, I harvest every male jaguar I can find during their drink times. If I find a female, I mark the zone I found her in and, for later for zone swapping with a male from another home range. When that rotation is complete, if I haven't visited all the lakes and the full coast just yet, I do reset the time to 2300 and finish checking all water sources on the southern part of the map. Once I've done one full sweep of drink zones, I move on to the feeders. I reset the time to 5 a.m. and check all 8 feeders. I can visit all 8 feeders in 15 minutes and usually find 5 out of the 8 feeders have a jaguar. Whatever animal is occupying the feeder gets harvested. Most of the time it's a jaguar, occasionally it's a puma. If it's a puma, I shoot it and just leave it unclaimed so that the feeder becomes available for a jaguar later. One of the biggest advantages of the feeders is the carcass percentage indicator. By checking the condition of the carcass, you can often estimate whether something has recently been feeding there, making your rotations even more efficient. Essentially, you're using feeders as a funnel system for your jaguar population, and as a bonus, feeders allow you to hunt jaguars during daylight hours. If you're lucky enough to find a rare, a diamond, or even a great one, the daytime visibility can make for some incredible trophy moments. Overall, this has been an extremely efficient grind. I've had very few issues with respawns. The biggest key, in my opinion, is maintaining enough harvest per rotation to keep the respawn system working consistently. The more jaguars you're removing each run, the more opportunities you're creating for new animals to enter the population. Ultimately, I do believe jaguar grinding is less about herd management and more about population management. The more male jaguars you can funnel into your grind area, the more opportunities you'll create for a great one to spawn. Whether this theory proves completely correct or evolves over time, this is the strategy that's produced the most consistent results for me so far. If you've discovered something different in your own grind, let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you're finding. Good luck out there, fellow hunters, and hopefully your next jaguar is the great one you've been waiting for. And as always, fellow hunters, happy hunting.